And that was my routine muted intro. Hello, it's me, Chase Holden. Welcome to the Motorsport Report presented by NAS Energy. Today I'm drinking a NAS Zero. It's good. What's up, Michael, in the chat? How we doing? I'm sure we have a lot to catch up on. It's been a long 2 weeks since I have been back in this chair. You may notice some things are a little different. You may notice some things have changed, and it's because they have. It's 2026. I've retired the red jacket. The red jacket has been retired. It was a great old red jacket. Fantastic. I'm going to miss it so much, but I got an offer I couldn't refuse. I had to take the offer on the jacket. Plus, it had a bunch of paint stains on it, so it was really hard to wear it out. But I got a good thing on it. And it's also kind of a new era in NASCAR, kind of a new era in racing. So we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to have Jesse Punch joining us at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. For those of you that don't know Jessie, she is a NASCAR content creator, also does a little bit of work with NASCAR. So you may have seen her on some of the social media sites with NASCAR and at her own at It's Jesse Punch. She also does an amazing show, Rolling with the Punches, a podcast. She recently had Larry Mack on. So we're going to get to talk with her about the new format, the changes. Trevor, what's up, brother? How are you? Doing well myself. Yeah, lunch break cigs, dude. I've got the Zen in my mouth right now. It's tingling. I've went full throttle into the wintergreen world. Why not? We're gonna throw one in. We're gonna throw in a Zen to win. This one's old. Out with the old, in with the new. I got my little Zen tray. I think that's another thing people should bring back. We always talk about how they need more nicotine at the racetrack. Instead of ashtrays, where's Zen trays? Can we get Zen trays for this season for IndyCar and NASCAR? That'd be cool. There's still a lot of people ripping cig in IndyCar, though, I will say. But yeah, all's been well, Trevor. Thanks so much. And yeah, I encourage everybody to get into the chat. We have a ton to catch up on. This is the first episode of 2026. The Chase. NASCAR announces The Chase. This is old news now. This was announced on Monday at 3 o'clock. NASCAR did a live, which was awesome. They had Ryan Blaney there, who has joined Stash Gang. I'll show you guys a picture of that later when we get over to X and we start looking on the timeline at all the news. Chase Elliott was there. Chase Briscoe was there. So they had two chases. Very superior move by NASCAR to have two chases in the building when they're announcing the chase. Also, Mark Martin, Dale Jr. was there. Mark Martin we all know Mark Martin's a fucking OG. We all know he's a real one. So I got to chat with him a little bit. He said he's busy as shit this week. Going to be looking forward to possibly having Mark on one of these Wednesdays coming up in the future. But yeah, lots of changes, man. I hope everybody had a great holiday season, by the way. I know that it's now January 14th. We're almost halfway into the new year, the first month of the new year. So I hope everybody had a great time. We're also going to talk a little bit about IndyCar updates later on in the show after we have Jesse on. We're going to talk a little bit about Chili Bowl, and I'm hoping that you guys in the chat can help me a little bit with the Chili Bowl, because I'm not going to lie, I have been slipping on Chili Bowl coverage. I really have. I've been so busy. I've got some announcements myself that are getting ready to come out here in the next week. So lots of big changes that are happening right now. Very exciting changes. And just feel really good about where things are. So I've been a lot busier than usual, a lot busier than I usually am in the beginning of the year, hence why we had a 2 week. I was going to come back last week, and some things came up last Wednesday, had to get some intel, had to get some knowledge. We've all heard now, Steve Phelps is gone. He's going to hopefully try to pursue his PGA commissionership. Maybe he'll have better luck there. We'll talk all about it. But what we're going to get into, obviously, we're going to talk about the news. We're going to talk about a little bit about IndyCar later on. We'll talk about some other forms of racing. Hopefully, you guys will be able to bring some things to the conversation table as well. And we're going to have the hotline open. So the hotline will be open where you can call in, get your calls in, talk about what's going on. I figure that we'll use the first 30 minutes of the show today. Just going to be talking a little bit about some of the changes, giving some of my opinions, and just kind of catching everybody up on what's going on from my perspective. Of the big change, which is the chase format in NASCAR. I wish IndyCar would have been a little louder this offseason. They weren't as loud as I thought them to be, but they're doing some good content over there, and hopefully continue to see that trend of IndyCar taking the up and up going into 2026. But NASCAR has definitely repositioned themselves. They are now in a spot to where they said, you know what? We were falling. We realized we were falling off the ladder. We realized we were losing fan trust. We realized things could be better. And they brought the right people in, and I feel like we cut right down the middle. Now, a lot of you guys that have been following me for a while, you know I don't know a ton about the chase because I wasn't really paying attention to the playoff format as a child. But it's what a lot of people grew up with. It's what a lot of people that I've talked to in the industry grew up with that have been really rooted to NASCAR like throughout the entirety of their lives. We're going back to an era where the format was when this guy was trying to pop ollies off of church steps and go to baseball practice. That's what was happening in my life the last time that the chase format was happening. We were listening to a lot of emo, screamo music. You know, there were girls on the bus that thought that dudes wearing eyeliner was hot. That was a real thing. That was a phase in the early 2000s. So it's like that punk rock emo era of life is like it's like getting reintroduced. IndyCar's kind of been in that space for a while. They like their music. I think they just announced the All-Time Low is going to be playing at the Arlington Grand Prix. All-Time Low. That's a name that I remember well. I have to give a little criticism there. Nobody listened to All Time. Even back when All Time Low was popular, nobody was listening to that shit. But I felt like because NASCAR is entering this era that I was not very familiar with as far as like watching it in terms of like I watch it now as an adult to where I'm like trying to follow the points and I want to know that the drivers are engaged with that just as much as the fans can be engaged with that. So it's like a whole new era for myself as a race fan. But it's not very different than some things that we discussed earlier in the last year. I keep saying the year because we're here. But earlier last year, we talked a lot about like what the playoff could look like or if they just dropped win and in and locked in the 16 drivers and let it all be points. And that's kind of what we have now, which is kind of funny because it's like the easiest thing you could have done. I think that whatever points were the loudest is what people decided to cling on to in that industry, in that building. But they also realized that this was a tightrope moment that they had to walk, and they did it cleanly. So we're going to go over the whole chase format in case you missed it. I'm going to read it out. I had my good friend ChatGPT ingest a shitload of data on this, by the way. I'm going to be very honest about that. I basically ingested transcripts. I ingested press releases. I ingested old ways of how things were. I ingested the way we can speculate things will be now. And then I told it, use the totality of that information to create the most compelling and easiest understandable way of this new format. So let's see what ChatGPT has said. Here's what ChatGPT, the way it explains the chase. For one, it fucked up in the beginning. It said the chase is back. Well, it's kind of back, but this is not the elimination playoff system. So that was kind of weird when I read it. It says, this is not the 2014-2025 elimination play. I'm not going to do this, guys. I'm just going to be straight with y'all. So, look. 16 drivers. 10 races. The points re-rack system was a little weird to me. They're kind of just like they were saying 2100, 2000, 1950, whatever. I think what matters is that whoever is in the top 16 when it's playoff time or when it's championship time, those are the 16 guys that are going to be competing. So I saw a tweet that came out where I think Slapshoes put it out, where he was saying that, like, oh, welcome back to sandbagging. How? This is the next-gen car. It's a little bit different. And I think that the thing that most people can agree on when it comes to the way you look at racing, or at least the way that I see it, is you want to feel like the drivers are in a good headspace. They enjoy what they're going after, and there is legitimacy to it. You want the fan base to feel like it's easy enough to follow along with, like there's legitimacy to it. They can get behind. If your guy didn't make the top 16, better luck next year. You know, the top 16 in points is the cutoff. And honestly, like it makes it to where the best of both worlds is true here. Because it still does, like I think the loudest that people were getting for Winston Cup to return, like myself and like others, was that you wanted it to be legitimate. You didn't want to see Kyle Larson being like, oh, Denny, that was where it all fucked up for me. Like when you got your own champion saying that shit, that's where it all fucked up. So you don't have that anymore. You can't have that anymore. And that's not going to exist, which I think is the best thing. So for all the Winston Cup truthers out there, yeah, there's still stages and, you know, maybe there's still overtime. Those are like modern things that have been popped up. And, yeah, maybe it sucks and maybe we're not going all the way back. But guess what? There's legitimacy to points. And I think that that's where, for me, I'm like, all right, I'm in. I'm all in. I'm not going to fuck around anymore. I'm not going to get pissy and mad. I've been very clear that I was going to keep watching NASCAR this entire time. Catching up some in the comments. What up, Hammonds? Good to see you, big dog. Only thing that kills me is there's still stage cautions. Yeah. Liberty also says, listen, we're not going to get 100% away from some type of playoff type format. I think the chase is the best scenario. Yes. And you talk about ChatGPT slipping. Yeah. You got to teach that motherfucker. You got to, people go to the AI like it's like supposed to know everything. It's like maybe you need to teach it some things and then it can work real good. That's kind of the way that I approach it anyway. But, you know, getting back to this thing, like I really just had to sit with it. I've had time to sit with it. I've had plenty of time to sit with that and say, you know what, if the drivers are happy about it, I can be happy about it, because happy drivers that feel like they're competing for something legitimate is going to make good product. And Martin brought up a fucking fantastic point about like how coverage needs to change now. You know, like we're so used to the media hyping up the elimination, like he knocked him out. Whoa, the Game 7 shit, right? That's what everybody wants to call it. Get back to, we're talking about how wild it is to see somebody be as consistent as they are, how good they can be at multiple tracks, creating heroes and legends. This is how Dales and Jeff Gordons and shit got made, man. Jimmy Johnson. Speaking of Jimmy Johnson, we'll talk about him a little bit too in this show. Ryan says, stages are the only gripe I have with everything they have done. Everything it was spot on and will revive the drive to win and be consistent. Yeah. The stage thing, I mean, like, they got to keep some forms of it because it was such a last-minute decision. The way that I see it anyway, I haven't really talked to anybody at leadership. But just from talking with drivers and people that I know that are close in the industry, that are close to leadership and stuff, you know, they're like, you know, you gotta, it's kind of the way we've set up contracts, the way we've set up things, and like you gotta honor those legal languages, you gotta honor that shit. And I get it, that's the world we live in, that's court, it's law. We all just got done learning about law. But like I said, I think what everyone needs to remember here is that if the drivers feel like it's legitimate, the fans can see that it's legitimate because it is point situational based. This is literally what we talked about, I think, in September or October around Bristol when I did Motorsport Report. Or it was on one of the lives that we did where I was just like, even if they just decided to take away winning in and lock in those 16 guys, and that's the 16 guys competing for a championship, and then you just let the points run, that would be better. That would be better in terms of something that F1 fans understand, IndyCar fans understand, whatever. It's simpler. It's easier for everybody because you want to please your old fan base, but you also want to bring in new people. And I know O'Donnell's still being there, by the way. There's a lot of people pissed off that O'Donnell's still there. Stop. Just stop. Like, he's there. Like, he's the president. At least we don't have a commissioner. That was a made-up role. It was a made-up role, and my speculation has always been that they made that role so that it was easier on paper for Phelps to get the commissioner job at PGA. Because if there's a NASCAR commissioner, at least you can have on your resume that you were a commissioner for a major sporting organization, and now you move into PGA. I think he was always meant to pop up and move somewhere else. I don't know. But from a broadcaster, let's see, I can't see Fox building any stars. Interested to see how Amazon has their take on building stars. I think the thing is you just follow the story. Follow the story, get more creative. We got a shitload of ways. There's a lot of new up-and-coming journalists, too, right now. And I feel like there's a shitload of ways to create stories. There's always a story. There's always a story out there. It just depends on how spoiled your journalists are or how bad they want to succeed. I feel like we need younger people coming in that are hungry as fuck for the success as a journalist, as somebody covering NASCAR, because that's when you create that intensity, right? We have a lot of, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with any of the journalists that we have now, but I'm just saying that, like, when you've been around the block so many times, like, you kind of have developed your strategy, you've developed the way you've done things. I would love to see more kids coming into this now. Like, it's easier than ever to start a media brand in 2026. There's AI tools out the ass where if it's just you can use things to make things simpler. You don't have to outsource all these things. So I think that's a great time, and I think that more young people should be itching to cover this sport. And the more people that you have coming in as journalists and storytellers and people that want to talk about NASCAR and this new format, the juicier stories you're going to get, and you're going to get a bunch of different perspectives, just like I give mine here. You're going to get that on paper. You're going to get that in video. Like, it's super important that more people want that, because it seems like we're in a world right now where everybody wants to be an influencer and everybody wants to be on YouTube and everybody wants to do this shit. How many have the passion for racing that can cross into that? And there are a good, there's a good handful of us out there that want a balance of that. But I feel like it's important. Thank you, STC. Yeah, and I get my nicotine from Knickknacks. No trash. What the fuck is Knickknacks, dude? I need some of that. I want some of that because I got that Zen in right now. We Zen to win over here. That's kind of been the staple saying. Chris says people don't realize how good stage cautions make the racing. Not their fault for being uneducated. I mean, I feel like that's an opinion. That's an opinion on anything else. Like, you could take it away. It's like, I really am that guy where you could take that shit away and I'm going to be like, all right, race cars. I just want to watch cars going fast, dude. And I want to see who's going to win today. Like, and so the closer that we can all get as fans to figuring out what is it exactly that we like, what is it exactly that makes us just want to watch it even when there's things we don't like, those are the things that matter to you as a person. So, and the more people that are able to give that, the better. I like stage points, don't care for the cautions. There you go. So, I mean, it was just like, and I feel like in time, like, let's be honest about this. Like, I do feel like in time, we're going to get to where maybe stage cautions do fade away because we're just entering a new way of like doing things. So some of the pieces that were in place supporting the thing that it was before probably will start to kind of fall away a little bit in time, depending on if we really need them or not. And we're going to learn a lot about that in 2026. We're going to learn a ton about what we actually need versus what we don't need. So like, look at this kind of like, this is a year where you can get excited about whoever wins this championship is legitimately going to fucking do it. I don't think we need to worry too much about sandbagging and shit because just like winning you're in, your goal was to get to every racetrack and try to win that race, right? Well, the way that you would look at it back then was like some teams would be like, okay, well, we know we don't have a good chance at winning here, 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 and here. So we really need to like focus all of our shit onto these 3 races because these are our best chances to win to get in the playoffs, right? That goes away now. And so now the way it's going to be laid out is, okay, fuck, we have to be at least decent at every track. So your driver can't really figure out something and your team hasn't really figured out something at all these other tracks. Well, you can't just put it all on the fucking table for those 3 races anymore. Now you've got to figure out, well, fuck, how do I get better? How do I get better here? Because if we don't do good at these, it doesn't matter if we win these, you know, because then we can just slip on back. This creates an environment where every team is now going to be like, we have to get better every week at every track. And then when we go back to that track, we have to take everything that we learned and apply it there and push so that when we do go back, we can take and apply and push. It's the same mechanics are happening, but more on a consistent basis for some of those teams that don't always win or maybe have the wishy-washiness. It just makes it more of an aggressive thing overall. And there are people that argue, I have seen the argument about it, and again, I'm not super huge on how the chase was back then. I wasn't really ever paying attention to that. But the way I do see it now is that, you know, when you do get to those 10 races, yeah, you want to make sure that you're on top of the world. So take everything that you learn from those. And I feel like that's just racing. That's just what you're supposed to do at the track. So the format just kind of like takes away some of what I would call the laziness away. And I'm not saying that teams were lazy or that drivers were lazy. You got to be really fucking good to make it to the level that you're at. You know, you got to have some things going right for you in life to drive in NASCAR. So I'm not saying that they're lazy, but I'm saying that like fans can't see it as laziness anymore. You have to look at it as truth. Ryan said it'll set apart the OK drivers from the stars for sure. Yeah, and so that right there alone is how those stories get created, kind of going back to what we were talking about there. That alone goes back to saying, okay, now these 5, 6, 7 guys are just showing that they are that thing. And then you go into 2027, 2028. By that time, they've got that body of work showing. They're on the Fallons, they're on the Kimmels, and people care about it more because they're doing it more, and that's what we're focused on as a fan base. I might be going all over the place today. Very different show for 2026. I have ADHD. I'm just gonna talk. So, if you're catching up, I see Speed Racer said 9 minutes behind. Jimmy Johnson would use some races in the first 26 as test sessions, then go to his best 10 tracks with bigger notebook. Yeah, and I mean you can do it that way too. But what I'm saying is like the teams that aren't that great should get better, theoretically. They should get better now. The teams that are already great and have all these playbooks, they just have to kind of restructure how their season looks now and what they're attacking and what they're after. So it's going to change the landscape, for sure. But I do think that bad teams get better. Mediocre teams, they either learn from their mistakes and push forward, or, you know, they just kind of stay where they are. And then the big dogs are going to shine. Hendrick, Penske. It's how it's been for decades across multiple forms of playoff championships. So I think at base, what I'm trying to say is that we all can get really worked up over things sometimes. especially when it comes to something that we love and care about. And this makes it to where we can really get back to what's important as far as just being fans of dudes that get in cars and go fast as shit and try to win every weekend. That will work just fine as long as you're consistently top 10 or better. Yeah. So you want it. That's what I'm saying. Like it's going to push them. And I think that there are some teams that are going to really show up in a big way because this is kind of what they wanted. Like they wanted these things. Like RFK is one that comes off right at the top of my head. RFK is like the first one that comes to mind. Like Brad was talking about how he would love to see it go back to a more legitimate way. You know, Ryan Preece and Chris Buescher wasn't really outspoken on it, but you got Preece and Keselowski in that building. They're happy about this. And now they feel like they actually can be like, okay, well, this matters even more now. Like, let's step it up because, like, this is what we want. So, like, all the drivers that kind of wanted this to happen, I feel like there should be an extra push there for them to achieve those things that they want. And they can. And technology is getting better and better. As technology continues to increase in this series, things are going to get tighter again. And things – that's what I'm saying. It's a constant expanding of emotion. It's out and in through the years. Attach yourself to what you love, the simplicities, the simple things that you love about what it is and what it does and what it gives to you, and hold that in. No more talking about playoffs with the winning driver in the post-race. Let's just celebrate the race again. Yeah, and that's what we get to do. And so that's what I love that. That's what I do love about it. We're going to have Jessie Punch hopping on here in about 3 minutes to talk a little bit more about it, get her reaction to it, get her viewpoint, find out what she's got going on, and talk a little bit just about some of the stuff that's happening on social media this offseason. NASCAR social media has been pretty funny. There's been a couple of big stories that have been out there, so we're going to kind of go over those. And Ryan says it will light a fire under the guys that were super consistent last year but didn't get a win. There you go. So that's in a NASCAR where the drivers and the teams feel good, the fans feel good. That's the keys to success right there. That's the truth of it. So as we get ready, I'm just going to kind of go over some of these chat GBD notes. I always just find it funny just what it does when I give all these inputs. Why NASCAR says they did this. Larger championship sample size. Increase importance of every race. Reward consistency and winning. This is the basic shit. Basic shit. AI gives the basic shit. I don't know. Feeling good. Lots more to talk about. Don't want to go too much deeper into it right now because we're going to talk about more of it with Jessie. But this has just been a big show. I hope everybody's been doing great. Hope everybody's had a great off season. We're knocking the rust off. The red jacket's been retired. Just going to kind of show up here in whatever I'm wearing that day. Since we're in the Chase era now, I feel like I need to just be the Chase. Like, this is how Chase dresses pretty much on a daily basis. You get the Chase. We're watching the Chase, you get the Chase. So, yeah, quickly I will go over before we do hop over some big news pieces that did drop that were exciting. Tony Stewart is going to be racing with Kaulig. The announcement is official. He'll be in the 25 truck. Stenhouse is going to be racing the 45 with Nice at Daytona, which is another cool thing. Always love to see guys from different series going back to the trucks because trucks are fun, dude. And especially to see Tony Stewart back in NASCAR, that's important. And that's another piece of this that I can kind of talk with Jessie about here shortly that we'll go into. So I'm going to go ahead and hop over to a quick little break screen. And then we'll get right back in action. Don't go anywhere. Jessie Punch joins me when we return. There she is. You got me? Alright, no worries. Whenever you get it fixed, I'm just going to hop us over to go back. All right, we are live again. Go ahead now, Jesse. Talk for us. We're back. Hello, this
howdy,
is
howdy.
All right, so we have you. We have your audio. We're good. We had to knock the rust off because it's the first time we're back live in this. But I wanted to introduce Jesse Punch to everyone. Jesse at it's J. Is it at it's Jesse Punch on?
It's J Punch.
It's J
underscore
Punch.
J Punch. Yeah.
I like it because it's like the short wordage. Like you can just, it rolls off the tongue. It's J Punch. Yeah.
And most people call me J Punch anyways, so it just, if I put Jesse, everyone would be like, who?
Yeah, it works. I'm digging the pink hair. Is that new? When did you go pink?
Wow, well, thank you for noticing. It is subtle change, but no, thanks. I don't know. I was just kind of feeling it. It was right before Phoenix. I was like tiptoeing into the pink, and then somewhere here in the off season, I think I hit my missing NASCAR crazy limit, and I just decided that I needed some excitement in my life and went neon. I will be completely transparent and say that didn't know I was going neon. I thought I was just going fun pink again, but we are requiring sunglasses now everywhere we go, so we make quite the statement.
No, we like the loud colors though. I'm always like waiting on you to just show up because like you always have the different styles. I'm always waiting on you to show up with like the Skrillex shave with like the checkered pattern on one side of your head. You know?
That's when we'll know I've really lost it.
Yeah.
Chase, okay? If I show up like that, I would, as a friend, hope maybe you pull me aside and you're like, hey, you good?
Yeah.
You okay? Because the answer is no. The answer is no at that point.
I'm already tripping out now because my style has definitely changed up going into this year. Like I feel like now that we've moved away, we've found out we're not getting Winston Cup points. I retired my Winston jacket and I'm like, we're going with the Chase now, and I'm just gonna wear what Chase wears on a daily basis because we're Chase.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You are in theme at all times.
That's it.
And I will say real quick, when you talk about, the madness of it all and the hair, when I went neon, I wasn't thinking too much about the timeline of everything. And it's like about 2 weeks from now, I'm fortunate enough that my dad brings me along every year as his +1 to the NASCAR Hall of Fame induction ceremony,
oh, hell yeah.
which every year is one of like my most cherished memories that I get to do with my dad. And I might be the first neon pink gal that has ever attended to the NASCAR Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
So you're making history.
So,
that's what matters. You're making history. We all know your dad. We know the great Dr. Jerry Punch. And that's obviously like you can't grow up in a house with that man and not be inspired by like what he was able to accomplish in his life. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Inspired, but running my own course as well. He never did the pink
yes,
hair thing. So,
no, that would
yeah,
have
he
been
made
wild.
history in his own way. I have to find my own path.
There you go. I like your way of doing things though. Like you have, I feel like you and I are really similar in the standpoint of like we have lives outside of racing, we have interests outside of racing, and we find ways to tie those things into racing at the same time. So like we definitely got touched with the weird stick. I'll say that. I feel like we got a little touch with the weird stick at some point.
Are you calling me weird? I might take
Maybe.
a subtle offense to that.
Really?
With my tooth little guy up here in my pink hair. No,
We're
and I have
race
an alien
nerds.
picture going on over here and my hot dog. No, Chase, you hit the nail on the head when you said that. But
Yeah.
quickly too, when you said about having kind of a life outside of NASCAR, I want to, and I don't want to talk about my dad a lot, but I want to take a moment to pat him on the back because I attribute that to him. He was kind of here, long story short. I think a lot of people, when they go, "Oh, you grew up in the sport," they think that I'm in the garage every weekend and you see these photos of Chase Elliott sitting on tires and like I was around, but I was a broadcaster's kid. So a very, very different, means of where we were at the racetrack and what we were doing and our schedule was different. But on top of that, when I reached an age where I did have the chance to kind of go do my own sports and live my own life, my dad and my mom too were really adamant about my dad's job not being my identity or not being
Yeah.
my activity. And so it is funny sometimes when I look back and I go, dang, there's a lot of cool NASCAR stuff that I wasn't at because I was living my own life. But like, what a blessing, that I had parents that encouraged that. So
Yeah, no, it's super important. Like I can say from an outside standpoint, my dad worked at like a box factory and like my mom was like a nurse, so I did not have any types of external ways of looking at it. So it's always just cool to like pick the brain of like you when we're talking about stuff and just like how that transpires, because I know like my kid now is kind of in this world and like what we do. So it's important to kind of like find those lines, and you learn as you get older, like make sure that you have that life outside of it. But
mhm,
it's very hard to escape. It's very hard
mhm.
to escape the clutches once you're already bitten by the bug of racing.
Very
So,
true.
but
Very
yeah,
true.
I wanted to talk with you about this format though. So obviously we're moving to the chase. There was a huge debate earlier in the year about whether we should go back to Winston Cup, whether we should, stick with playoffs. And I know we briefly caught up in the off season, but like, where did you fall in that like line? Like, were you like good with whatever? Did you want to see it stay, or did you want us to go completely back to 36 points?
Yeah, I definitely was in agreement with, I think, the majority of the fan base in the sport when I thought that we needed a change of some capacity, a major change. But I was never somebody that was really big on this 36 race format. I always felt and do still feel like we need some sort of a playoff scenario, some sort of a postseason for a lot of different reasons. I think it helps with a lot of marketing and sales within the sport, sponsorships from a business side. I also think we have a very long season. I think it helps kind of segment the year. It makes it a little more digestible for a lot of different reasons. I think that it's important to have a specific section of postseason or playoffs, with however you want to look at it. And I love this format. I'm excited to see, how it plays out. I'm very proud of what they came up with and how they came up with it, and the priority that they put into bringing people in to speak on this truthfully. Like, you look at what Ryan Blaney had to say. Obviously, Mark Martin's been very vocal about it. I just got done listening to the Dale Jr. download from his perspective on it, and they're all being very honest. NASCAR is encouraging an honest conversation about trying something new, and I really appreciate that. I think it's great for the fans in the sense of um, it adds longevity to the season. I think for some fans, you have a driver, you can follow them all year long. It rewards, from a fan standpoint, consistency. Your driver isn't out of the postseason. You still have this something to hang on to, and it's important to watch week to week, knowing that season long and postseason, these points really, really start to matter now. And on top of that, from a driver standpoint, I mean, and I think we can all agree, like, it's put so much control back into the drivers and teams' hands when you look at the postseason and the room for error. It rewards consistency. I don't think it takes anything away from these big moments that we get to create in the sport. I think it just will produce a champion that feels much more of a well-rounded representation of the success of that overall season. So I'm a big fan of it. I'm excited to see how it plays out in its first year.
Yeah, I had a ton of friends that are probably around like 4 or 5 years younger than me. Like I remember getting into it, I was heavy on the Winston Cup. And I think a lot of it had to do with like what you said about drivers, right? Like I think it's super important for the driver to feel like what they're going after is something they can be proud of, and then finding a way for fans to be able to find the simplicity of like whatever that is, because you need the drivers to feel good about it and the fans to feel good about it to create a good product overall. And you look at like Formula One and IndyCar, they've stuck with that Ladford system for so long, and they've found other ways to create marketability. They found other ways to really grow in the current media landscape that we're in now. And I think that we, as in the NASCAR space, we can kind of get stuck on like these pieces that we feel like we have to cling to over time, and how that we can really understand that it's just mostly about like what the teams and driver wants and how they really are, genuinely are. And we're almost entering this weird form of like authenticity, I feel like, in our, not just racing, but in our world right now. And that's translating into racing because fans want that honesty. Fans want that realness. They don't want so much performative stuff anymore, which is what I find refreshing. And anytime you can just be yourself and be out there, that's when the greatness is created. So I looked for a lot of the teams that are kind of in the mid-pack and things like that. Now they're not circling those races where they know they can win, and that has to be their main priority. It's going to improve performance across the board for everyone just because of the way that it is. And I think that alone is probably the healthiest thing that you could have in any form of racing. So
I agree, and I think when you talk about authenticity, you're absolutely right, and it's that it goes hand in hand with that transparency that we're finally seeing, and that's a lot of what I was kind of fumbling over trying to say earlier about NASCAR bringing in so many of these voices to speak so honestly on the changes that they're making. It shows this transparency that like NASCAR saying, hey, we want to hear from you because we recognize that there are issues or potholes or whatever you want to call them, plot holes or whatever
plot
that we
pots,
need to
yeah.
whatever that we need to kind of sort out here. And everybody has this understanding that if everyone can make decisions for the betterment of each other, then we're all going to bring each other up. Because Chase, what you said, I don't remember exactly what you said, but it hit me. It's a sport. We are an entertainment element, but we are a sport. We aren't a stick and ball sport. So a lot of times people have an issue or have a hard time kind of translating that. But the entertainment comes from having good racing.
Yes.
Like, look at Phoenix, man. We had some great racing. And then the format of everything, the formalities of everything kind of fudged with all of the excitement of that. And so I think at the end of the day, when you strip back so much of this entertainment value that people often try to create, the entertainment comes naturally.
Yeah.
And the people that love racing know that we're going to see good racing. And if you see good racing and you can't appreciate that without big wrecks and flips, then NASCAR isn't your sport. And that's okay. But I want to bring people in to this sport under the guise of what we're about and what this sport is about. And that's fast cars and good racing.
And there's always going to be people that want that. It was very well said. Another thing that's been interesting too is like all of these older drivers that have really been surfacing on social media. And you had on your show Rolling with the Punches, you had Larry Mack on recently. We've been a little critical of the XM crowd here, and I'm not saying it like critical in a way to where I'm like purposely like trying to throw shade at them, but like just trying to help people see things for what they are. Like, and I saw Larry when they did the Grand National Bash a couple of weeks ago, and honoring the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series guys, which was a great great event to be able to do. And briefly got to speak with him there. But when you had that conversation with him and you were hearing a lot of these older guys that were just adamant about where things were and why they should stay now, like, you know, did that make you feel like it was just because you're just happy to like they're just happy to be where they're at and they're just going for whatever NASCAR's going with? Or do you think that there are these elements where there are pieces of how things were and how we could just bring that back and make things so much easier for everybody?
I don't think it's that black and white. And I'm
Yeah.
going to try to make this short because this is my favorite soapbox to jump on. I will stand on it all day long. This idea of, as a sport, needing to bring in new fans and teach them about the sport and what we are made of and what we're supposed to be, but also not neglecting the fans and the people within the sport as well that got us here and that built this. So I think in the media and within, you know, as NASCAR as a whole, I think that we've struggled in the last couple of years to find the balance between making those fans and those drivers feel important and still feel cared about. And it goes back to a little bit of the entertainment element that we've really honed in on in the last couple of years. I think that by doing so, those fans may feel even more inclined to hang on to certain elements because they see such large changes towards a different, you know, uh air of the sport, this
Yeah.
entertainment instead of high, you
Growth.
know, high level
Growth.
racing.
Yeah.
A different, yeah, different type of growth.
Yeah.
But I think, like I said, it's not quite as black and white. And I think the answer to that is both sides. You know, there's so much we can learn from the people that built this sport, the Larry Macks, not just the people that were working in it, but the fans as well that spent the money to come to the races when it wasn't like it was today, and who, I think about the fans who have never eaten anything but one pizza provider because that's their drivers, or the fans that have
Yes.
never bought a certain thing at a grocery store because that's their rival sponsor. Like, these are the people that made our sport what it is. So there's something that we can learn from those people to get back to that strong fan sport loyalty. But we also do need to understand that that side of things needs to be open and welcoming to bringing in a new age of race fan that might look like me. You
Yeah.
know, might have pink hair and show up at the track and be taking an Instagram video. And you might be like, what the heck is this girl doing? But dang, if I don't love and respect this sport so much, you just got to have a conversation. So I think
That's
it's
it.
both sides, you know, being willing to meet each other in the middle and find the balance of respect for
Yeah,
NASCAR.
you're not gonna make everybody happy, but like they did a damn good job of it though. And I think having Mark
Oh yeah.
Martin be in there at that press conference, having Dale Jr. be in there, like it's like they made sure that they had somebody that represented everyone's side of things that were in the NASCAR ecosystem online. So I just
And I think too, sorry, not to interrupt you, but I meant
yeah
to mention this earlier. Ryan Blaney as well, I thought had some great points when he sat in there, and he did a great job of, you know, being in this room of what you're saying, these greats that built this sport, and recognizing that he's who he is now. He's a current driver in the sport. He has an opinion, but he has a strong one being a current driver, but he's sitting amongst, you know, Hall of Famers. So I
yeah
think I was looking at Ryan Blaney wondering kind of what was going through his brain sitting in this room, but he made such a great point when he talked about how this format is going to take away some of those game time difficult decisions that drivers have to make sometimes that they don't want to make because they have to win and get in, or they
yeah
have to do this, you know, this questionable racing decision that they wouldn't otherwise make if they weren't in the position that they're in. And I think, I don't know, that is such a simple statement, but I've really been chewing on that, and I think that that's something I'm going to be thinking on a lot as we see how some of these races play out the rest of the season.
yeah. There's depth everywhere when you start looking. You can always find the depth. The kind of on a side note of that, like how would you rate Ryan Blaney's mustache right now? I think he's doing really well. I'm just glad that he has joined Mustache Gang. I've been trying to recruit as many people as I can. Chase Elliott had his. He shaved it off for God knows why, and things kind of went downhill for him. I wish that I hope my hope is that Ryan keeps the mustache, and this isn't just for media day.
I think he'll keep it. I don't see him doing the like coming to Daytona and have like we all got so excited about the stash, and then he's just gonna like let us all down. I think he reads the tweets. He knows.
He's
he
a
knows
good
that we
dude.
all like the stash. Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
it looks good. Look, hey, you don't doubt Ryan Blaney in a lot of different fronts, and I never doubt Ryan Blaney on the facial hair front because that man can grow a beard.
Dude's got a strong garden. He's kind of a gardener. He's kind of a gardener if you think about it. Like he grows really good crops.
He really does. And I think that he could walk in with a handlebar mustache with wax ends, you know, like a old-timey circus man, and we'd all be like,
that's Ryan.
That's it. Yeah. That's the thing. And you know what? And then every fan's going to show up at Daytona with handlebar mustaches all waxed up at the ends.
That's
you know what? I like it.
No.
Quick question, though, as a member of Mustache, you know, fan, whatever you guys call your community.
Mustache gang.
What driver would you like to see? Would you pull out a mustache?
Shit.
Whether they can grow one or not, because that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, I think you and I both know that. Like, I vote for every driver. Like, I don't have a favorite driver because I just like I fuck with a lot of these dudes
just
out here.
Just a full mustache field.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Like, because when I was working in the IndyCar side of things, I was constantly trying to get Scotty Mack to grow one because I think Scotty Mack would have a badass stash, and he's right there in the Penske crew. But if I had to take one guy right now, out of the entire field that needs one, like I think a mustache would do Cindric some good. I don't think he realizes how much that would help him because when we saw that come out last year, like it instills confidence in you for one. I've seen myself without one. I'd way rather have one, you know. My mustache is like your pink hair, like it's your identifier. It's your thing.
Identifier. Right.
We do it for Dale, of course, but at the end of the day, it's like I wouldn't want to do it any other way now. But I think Cindric is important. I think he should have one. I think Chase Elliott should have one at all times, and maybe he's just kind of got a little bit of rebellious in him, where he's like, "Don't tell me what to do with my facial hair."
Yeah. So that's probably what it is. We were like, "Hey, we like that," and he was like, "Nope."
Yeah, he's very like emo rock. He's kind of emo rock guy. Like he's just like he's anti-conformity. Like maybe a little bit of that there. And then like one other driver I think in the field I'll
tell you who I think.
Go ahead.
While you think, I'll tell you what my thought is.
I got my last guy.
To me, the most stark hair transformation we've seen in the offseason was not a growth of hair, but a taketh away of hair on the Joey Logano side. And let's be real here. Okay. I'm not. This is has nothing. No opinion on his looks, how he looks. This is nothing about that. Anytime somebody's just gonna shave their head bald, it's gonna be like a stark like, whoa, you're bald. Like I showed up with pink hair. Like obviously you're gonna be like, whoa, that's different. Oh my God, you're bald. You know.
He inspired me.
But the reason it was so stark was because we just went through Joey Logano hair transplant game.
Right.
Of it all. We just watched him get hair, and now we just watched him get rid of the hair. Like I can't keep up. Was it like a Locks of Love situation? Like did he donate
I think the internet bullied him. I think that's what happened is the internet bullied him because I was kind of a part of I call it, you know how like they have like hackers and hackers do bad things, but then they have ethical hackers. I'm like an ethical bullier because I started losing my hair probably like at like 26, 27. And I was like holding on, you know what I mean? I was like holding on. I'm like, oh no, I had the long hair in the back, but I'd always wear a hat when I came out, but it was thinning up top. And so finally, like when he got the hair club from in, I was like, I'm losing my hair. I don't want to do that. I was like, I personally am like, when that time comes, bald brotherhood, what's good, you know? Mm-hmm. And so it's almost like this need to like do something for others and not for yourself in a way. So I was always giving him shit. Now, if you got a sponsorship, that's another thing.
I'm going to say, it's almost like that hair club money stopped coming in and he went...
Yeah, so it's like but personally, I think that it really was just from maybe he realized like, man, this is silly, you know, like why I'm going bald, like I'm just going to embrace it. And when he did that, I was like, I can't give this man shit. I was like, I can't give this man no shit. I was like, so I took my happy asses to Sports Clips and I said, pull out the one. and we rocked it. You know what I mean? I was
love
like, because now I actually have my respect level for Joey Logano has went through the roof. The Heisenberg, whatever you want to call him, that's been the big meme. Is the Breaking Bad Joey Logano? I think that his villain arc increased by 100% now.
1,000,000%. That's what a lot of it was. I think he's leaning into the villain role. He said, "Step aside, Denny Hamlin. Well, you want to see a villain, please."
I don't know if you saw this or not. I was going to show you really quickly. So there's this account on X called Dab for Dale, and every year he gets all of his followers that are NASCAR fans to vote on a bunch of various different topics so that he can create graphs. So he will get everybody to answer like a Google Doc sheet. You go there and you just do your voting or whatever, and then he just takes all that data and creates maps with it. This was a map of the most hated driver in the United States of America. That's all 22s. Alaska, Idaho, and Montana, I think, were Ty Gibbs.
Yeah. Looks about right.
So for him to have that much hate, it's like, now's the time, big dog. Like, get out there. I actually like Joey Logano now more.
Yeah, I feel like Joey was like, wait, you guys kind of like Denny Hamlin? The tides are kind of changing on Denny Hamlin. Like, there's a little bit of a space open for a villain role right now.
Yeah, and we get to see real Joey now. Now we get to see what real Joey looks like. We don't get to see Hair Club for Men Joey, you know? I used to do that all the time. I used to do that joke all the time. It was like the Hair Club for Men Bet of the Week, Joey Logano. Like, because he's a good race car driver. You can't
really
default him there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
and now he'll be much more aerodynamic as well. So
very much so. So I do like that with him. Another big one. I was trying to think of some other of the big memes, but the Joey Logano was the one that stands out the most because he really has, though. Like, Joey Logano's done more for NASCAR this offseason, I feel like, than possibly rivaled the lawsuit, because of how much news coverage he's gotten. And that's another quick thing that I wanted to bring up to you. Like this, from working in NASCAR, you and I have both kind of like worked with NASCAR. We've worked with the industry. There's a lot of just fantastic people in there. But like, I feel like we're finally in this place now where everybody kind of understands each other because of that lawsuit. Like, and it's like you take it from like being like a bad thing. It's like it's kind of this good thing in a way. Like, how did you feel about it? Or if you had opinions on it?
Yeah, I think I think coming out of the lawsuit with anything but that perspective of positivity, and at least an attempt at positivity moving forward, then you don't care about the betterment of the sport. Like, point blank. Like, I think anybody that is continuing to harp on the lawsuit and the negatives of it all, we're worried more about sensationalizing the negative than you are about the betterment and moving forward. And you're right, both sides had to show their hands a lot more than they wanted to, unfortunately. But what it did was it stripped a lot of things down to the bare bones, and everybody felt a lot more vulnerable around each other.
Yeah.
And people on each side had to make sacrifices, or had to make, meet in the middle. And at the end of the day, when you come out of a court case with an agreement like that, how can you have any sort of mindset but an understanding that you're working together, right? Like, I think that if you leave that from either side, NASCAR or the driver's side, and you still have, some animosity toward the other team in thinking that they don't want the best for you, then again, that's where you've got to reevaluate your perspective on the sport. I think that I'm not going to say the lawsuit was a good thing, because I think that there were a ton of negatives that came out of that. But in a viewpoint of moving forward and growth of the sport, I think it's a great thing for that, like you said, transparency of the people that are participating and the sanctioning body, and then the fans as well, because there was a lot of transparency there from the sport that we give so much time, money, attention, everything to. It felt like we had a little bit of insight into what at least they were doing to help better what we love so much.
I compare it to like going on an ayahuasca retreat. That's kind of what happened in a way. Everybody got it. They saw the bad in themselves. They saw the good in themselves. We found a way to meet in the middle. the compromise, and now we can
Indeed.
grow and flourish in positivity from
Indeed.
there.
And the idea of Michael Jordan and Jim France on an ayahuasca retreat together is
Whoa. The
that,
ego
that,
death that would come from that would be extravagant.
that might save everything.
Yeah.
I fix it all.
I don't know. It's funny. I have a very abstract way of how I view reality sometimes. But
I love it.
yeah, but other than that, it's just been great to get to catch up with you. What do you got planned for this year? What are you going to be doing content-wise? Continuing rolling with the punches? You doing any more work with NASCAR?
Yeah. So I'm continuing everything with Rolling with the Punches. The podcast will be going again this year. Rolling, as far as the overall media company goes, we're going to be bringing on some new platforms, some new shows, little things here and there. So be sure you're following Rolling Media on YouTube, or subscribed at least, and keep up with what we've got rolling out there. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about doing a lot more interviews this year for the podcast. I think we've got a good grip on our expansion for this season, and I think listeners of the show will be excited to see some different faces from different types of racing, which I think will surprise some people a little bit. But I do anticipate being back with NASCAR in some capacity, still in that fun, off season contract negotiation, figuring all of the stuff out for the year on both ends. Clearly, as we've just discussed, NASCAR has had a little bit of a busy off season as well. So as people are still kind of hashing things out, I'll know more then, but definitely can catch me on Rolling with the Punches every week, and absolutely at a racetrack on most weekends. Just look for the pink hair.
Look for the pink hair. All right, so the pink hair is a staple. You're going to keep it.
I don't know how long it'll stay. Okay. We'll see.
That's all I was saying. Let's be honest.
My mom would like to think it will go sooner than later, but I
don't know. I think you could do something big with it. Like, you could get you some pink and black checkered racing JP flags. You know what I mean? And make it a staple.
Really embrace it. Like,
really I'd be on my marketing shit. I'd be liking to talk about ideas and things.
I see it. I like it. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to have people call your people.
Yeah, let's do that.
See what we can do.
We'll have to catch up again soon for lunch or something one of these days. But thank you so much for being on the show today. This is the fabulous Jessie Punch. Make sure you follow her at It's J Punch on all social media platforms. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Chase. Appreciate you. We'll talk soon.
That was Jessie Punch here on Motorsport Report. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. Catching up here in the chat. See a lot of laughing faces. Had some good times. I love Jessie to death. She's one of my good friends in the racing world, and we always have some awesome conversations, fascinating things that we talk about when we're at the track, and just kind of figuring out this whole way forward for NASCAR and keeping it fun, keeping it light. So if you didn't know who she was, now you do. And yeah. Trying to catch up in the chat here. 2026 is the year of the NASCAR rat tail. Triple the hops, dude. Fuck yes. I would love that. I had a kid when I was in second grade. We lived by a trailer park. There was this one kid all the time. He didn't do the jorts or anything. It wasn't over stereotypical, but he had one hell of a rat tail. That kind of bleach blonde hair with the little curl on the back. There was always one of those kids in the trailer park. He was that guy. So it was always really cool to see. I'm going to open up the hotlines now. You guys have been waiting for a while. You know the number to call, 980-317-8717. If anybody wants to get some calls in, talk a little bit about what's going on in the world of NASCAR. Talk about how you feel about the chase. Talk about Chili Bowl. I don't know what's happening with Chili Bowl as much as I should, and I feel kind of depressed about that. So I do know some of the notables, but we're going to get ready to head over to the browser view here, because it's time to just see what the fuck's going on the feed as we catch up here. So let's go hop over to browser view. Browser view. Browser view. You know the number to call. Ryan Blaney, new, introducing. There might be some other new stuff too. Let's go check the noties. Let's go check the noties. What did Jeff Gluck say? Let's see what's new. Surprising results, almost 90% either positive or neutral on what had been a sharply divisive topic in the fan base. I was thinking there would be a far bigger group of negative votes. To me, this shows the compromise strategy landed in the right zone for NASCAR. Okay, so he did a poll. Do you like the new NASCAR championship format? 10-race chase. 73% said yes. 17,154 votes. That's pretty damn good. I think that we can all agree that's a good place to be. Let's go back to the bookies. Bookmarks, though. Drink body armor. Flash IV caffeine zero sugar. That's an announcement. Ryan Blaney. He doesn't have a mustache there. So it's important to do. Also, I don't know how many of you people have been seeing the NASCAR Chasm account. If you follow the NASCAR Chasm account, he's been showing off these porn books. Getting weird looks in the coffee shop, but I don't care. You're just jealous that I have these in my possession and you don't. Your latte swilling jackals, get on my level or avert your glaze. These are NASCAR porn books. And I say I shouldn't probably say that, but they're Harlequin novels is the correct term. I have said something about Tony in a truck at Daytona actually before Jesse. I did say something, Speed Racer. But I will say that there are other things to talk about with Tony Stewart, and I have ideas and why this is happening. For one, I don't think this happens in a world. There was a video on here with Tony, I think. That was Chili Bowl related. Look, I'll just go ahead and pull us back over here to main cam and talk about it. Let's talk about Tony Stewart being back in NASCAR, because that is important. I don't think there's a world where if these changes that have been made weren't made, that Tony would have returned. I feel like Tony's frustration has been very concrete for a few years. I mean, he was doing Fox for a while, right? And then Tony was just like, you know what, I'm done. He's like, I'm done. I'm pulling out of Stewart Haas. We're closing shop up. Fuck this. I'm going to NHRA. And he did. He's still doing Chili Bowl too. So I think what it means for Tony, for T-Stew, as a young Tony Stewart fan, mainly a fan of the driving ability and the attitude, I think that what this shows is that Tony feels like big steps in the right direction have happened. I don't think Tony comes back if things stay the way that they were. Obviously Dodge being a part of the Truck Series now with Colleague and Ram, that helps because of his sponsor affiliations in the NHRA. But again, I do think that a lot of this has to do with the timing. A lot of it has to do with the direction. And I don't know if that's maybe a perspective that some people had or not. That's just the way I see it, is I don't think it happens unless changes in the right direction are being made. And I think that that's a very important thing to look at right now in NASCAR, because when you've got them pulling up people like Mark Martin, you've got Jimmy Johnson saying, Jimmy was already kind of in the sport, but I think the big ones are like Mark and Tony. Bringing them back into the fold is going to be so much bigger for NASCAR than NASCAR realized it. And maybe they did realize it. Maybe they will realize it. But I think that this return is not going to be short-lived. I do think Tony finds a way to tiptoe back into the sport a little bit more now that he feels like things are a little bit more legitimate. Because I definitely feel like Tony wanted things to be the way that we're going to have in 2026. Oh, shit. We got our first caller of the day. First caller of the day, Motorsport Report, you're live.
What's up, Chase? It's Colin.
Colin, what's good, big dog? How is the holiday season? How's life treating you?
Excellent. Digging through 1,000-piece Lego sets with the 5-year-old. So we've been banging them out.
We went to the Lego store last night, me and my kid, and he was in there for like 20 minutes trying to build one of the little $9.99 3 figures that you get. And he was trying to make Fortnite characters, and I was like, "You can't." I was like, "They're in a Fortnite box for the thing." I was like, "They don't have those here." He's like, "We can find it," and I was like, "Oh shit!" So he didn't find it, but he ended up buying a pin. So that was my Lego adventure. Yeah,
we got the Supra from Fast and Furious done. Just got the '66 GT40 done today.
Ooh, ooh. That's the best. The Skyline. The Skyline is the only one. Like I'm like as a grown man, I would like walk in there and like Emery went through. My son went through a phase where he wanted the F1 cars, and then because they look like Indy cars, and that was the way he justified it. But now he's like all into just like scene creation. That's his new thing now.
Oh.
I want the GTR for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. They had the Skyline as well. But yeah, they had the Schumacher coming out. I saw that was leaked for I don't know, it's 2004 car or something like that with Ferrari. They had the Senna kit out for a long time. Thought about getting that.
Senna kit was cool.
But yeah, I'll say you're not caught up on the Chili Bowl, so you're not too far off base because you haven't missed too much action yet. But Larson won the first night, so he's got his ticket cashed. And then last night you did miss a successful Ty Gibbs hate watch because he got 14th, and he is not looking good to get to the show. Let's just say that.
He's trying, bro. Like I got to give it to Ty, man. I talked to Ty out at World Finals when I was out there, World Outlaws World Finals. Like,
yeah.
The grit you gotta have to just be there and just say, fuck it, I'm gonna push. Like I gotta give him that. Alaska hates him, by the way. We found that out recently, and I want to turn that around. You know, I feel like Alaskans love dirt racing, and I want to turn that around for him. And I feel like he's got some work to do. But you know, Alaska loved everything they were seeing the last few months with him on dirt.
You got to give it to him. He's doing pretty good for a 13-year-old. So. Much props to the kid.
Yeah, man. Well, how are you feeling about the chase format, dude? I haven't got to talk to you about it at all, and I want to hear everybody that wants to call in to talk a little bit about it. Like, what does this mean for you? Like, were you heavy watcher back in like the 04 to like 2014 days?
Oh yeah, I mean that was peak NASCAR for me, you know. But yeah, I'd say it's literally the best outcome. It's kind of, I'll just parrot what Mark said about it, is like it's the best thing we could have asked for outside of a 36, you know, just straight points.
True.
So yeah, I mean, there's no resetting except for, you know, the points when they get to the 10 race, but it's not that much of a spread. You know, it's not a huge spread where first is running away with a 100-point lead, and it's not egregious to where I think it levels. You know, if you're 16th in the points, you shouldn't be just reset to 0. You know, top 5, top 10 should have a little bit of a cushion. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you get 10 full races of just consistency, where you might get a guy that doesn't win a race and wins a championship, which, you know, back in the day with Mark and Dale and all those guys, you know, you'd have those random champions that, you know, didn't, you know, won one race in the whole season, won the championship because of their consistency. So
yeah,
would have loved to see Mark back in the day get one like that, but he never did. We all know how that went, but
it's a shame.
Yeah. I'm 100% on board and super excited. I mean, even with the playoff, I was still excited going in every year. Every single year I watched every single race, went to 4 or 5 races a year. Like it's my sport, you know, like, yeah, was it better? And the Winston Cup, you know, through the 90s when I was a kid, sure. But do I understand why they did what they did? Did I disagree with it? Yeah, I disagreed with a lot of it. But my favorite driver, you know, Kyle Busch, you know, was a benefit of that. And then I saw the breakdown. If you took all the years, if it was in the same points format where it was reset at 10 and then it was just consistency after that, he's still a 2-time champion. And the nice thing I saw, and what made me really happy, was Logano would be a 0-time champion. So, I mean, we all know that that's probably what.
That's why his confidence is hurt, man. He was on. They had him on. I saw him live on that after they did the announcement. He was like in the studio with Letarte and them, and he was just like, yeah, I guess this is what we're doing now. Like it was just like, you knew what we were doing. You ass, you bald man. You know, like coming in, like that's gonna be the fun part, is we're never gonna stop giving Joey Logano shit and just see how far we can take it. You know,
all the homies hate Joey Logano, so it's all good.
Just have fun with it. You know.
Yeah, the Rolex 24 is coming up. Who you got there? Have you looked?
I know that Scotty Mack is gonna be in it. Is he racing with Zilich and the boys?
No, Zilich is racing the Cadillac, the Whelen one, the Whelen. You know, V Series R. But he's not with Scotty Mack. I know Herta and Taylor are together. I love Jordan Taylor. He's hilarious online.
Dude, so I was getting ready to show a video later in the show of Jordan, and I'm just going to show it right after we get on our call now. I don't know. Did you see his recent reel that he put out on Instagram?
Yeah, it's a bop, dude. We need to get that on Spotify.
Straight up, bro. And, like, I love Jordan Taylor's content. Like, He's one of those dudes where, like, he fuses it well, but, like, this was, like, an over-the-top fusing. Like, when he with his dad, he was like, my daddy. Like, and he would have that little picture of his dad, dude. I was like, that was what did it for me. For everybody that's watching this right now, listening to me and Colin talk that doesn't have context, you will. You will soon, I promise.
You got it. Yeah, go to the Cadillac page. Go to, I don't even know where it was. His page. Yeah, just look up Jordan Taylor.
Yeah, and, I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna show it on stream. We're gonna watch it together. The Rolex 24 has always been interesting to me. Like, I never really like paid attention to like who's in it or whatever. It was just I just kind of went one year for an event. The most eventful thing that happened was we did a live stream, and then I went to Waffle House with Ricky Stenhouse at 4 a.m. in a Cadillac. So I did get to do that in a Caddy. It was a blue Cadillac, I think he had at the time. So we got to do that. But, yeah, the Rolex 24, I got to go and just kind of see the tints. And, like, I think that IMSA's probably going to have a little bump. And they should have a bump in the Rolex 24 because of all the people that went to watch the F1 movie. So I think that's going to probably help it a little bit, too, for all the cinematic heads out there that are just getting into racing. They'll be like, oh, the Rolex 24. That was on that Brad Pitt movie.
It's a tough draw because you could go for a couple hours and it's like, oh yeah, they're going to be racing until tomorrow. So
yeah,
you know, I think it would be a fun infield because I don't know how much of an infield there is with the road course, but it would be like, because I've been to the Daytona 500, 2020 we were in turn 4 in the infield, and let me tell you, that's a fucking party. But yeah, obviously with the road course a little different, smaller infield. That would be where I'd want to watch, obviously, because then you could just, I mean, it's just 24 hours of noise. But yeah, Zilich is in it. I'm high on Zilich this year for NASCAR. And then, I bought a couple of his RPAs, and those are coming, and I'm stoked on them.
Hell yeah. No, he's going to have a huge year, man. Like, I won't talk about his sponsor at all because we have superiorness here. But I will say that I don't think I've been this excited to watch a young kid come into NASCAR in a very long time. Like in the Cup Series, right? Because it's like we've kind of we know what he's proven in the Xfinity level or the O'Reilly level, whatever you want to call it. So it's like Trackhouse as a whole this year, really. Like, I'm very excited about that program. Yeah,
the wagon.
Yeah, it's like I
the
love
wagon. I think
the ovals. Ross is gonna. I feel like Ross has to step up his oval game, and then you have Van Gisbergen and Zilich are just going to be dogging it out on the roads.
Yeah, I think yeah, Chastain's got to just be like, all right, I got to go. These guys are generational talents. You know, yes, on the road course, but you never know. Zilich could all of a sudden just wake up and be one of the best oval racers as well. So I think he's on kind of like not on a hot seat where he's worried about getting moved on from, but I think he might just step up next month and win the Daytona 500 and start out and just say, hey, I'm here too. So
dude, there was a time when I would have told you were crazy, but then I watched Austin Cindric do it. So after Austin Cindric won the Daytona 500 as a rookie, I was like, cards are off the table, dude. Next gen car, talent's going to showcase where it's supposed to.
That's right. Yeah, I'll be down in Scottsdale next week at Barrett Jackson. So Chase Station's #1 fan. We'll be seeing some cars.
Let's fucking go, big dog. Colin, thanks so much for calling in, brother. We appreciate you. Always good to catch up.
All right.
That was Colin calling in. Thanks for the call. I want to show you guys what Colin and I were talking about. We're gonna head back over to Browser View real quick. Here's the video.
Long on mic when I got something to say. Here we go. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hey ho, let's go. We're going back to Caddy. I gotta thank my daddy. Look at this shit. It's a full natty caddy. That's a full natty caddy, baby. Hey ho, let's go. That
Little AI
caddy's
use
such
there.
a freaking baddie. Burnouts every hour. You can feel that V8 power. Don't cry, here's a flower. An American-made
crazy.
machine, so mean, so clean, gonna treat it like a queen. Daytona's a little refresher, so don't forget to check the tire pressure. We're going back to caddy.
This.
I gotta thank my daddy.
This shit, bro.
It's such a freaking baddie. It's a full natty caddy. Hey ho, let's go.
All right, that was the Jordan Taylor video. I had to just make sure that everybody saw that. That right there. That's movie magic. That's movie magic. Jim Francis' burner account has joined the chat. He has been missing for months, and he's back. Jim, we're glad to have you back, brother. I know it's been a tough off season. I hope things are going well. Hope you're coping. Things are good. Things are good now, Jim, I promise. Just very happy to see you back. But Jordan Taylor, he also does Rodney Sandstorm. And so that's what he's known for, the guy that wears the jorts and the Jeff Gordon jacket that rolled up on Jeff Gordon at Daytona a few years ago, maybe about 4 years ago or so. Maybe it's longer than that. I can't remember. Just go look up Jordan Taylor on the internet and you'll see what I'm talking about. But I got to thank my daddy part. Like, it's just because a lot of people know in certain forms of racing, like you have money from your family or whatever that come in. So he did that in a really good way. It was funny. Motorsport Report, you're live.
Howdy, Chase. This is DJ up in Wisconsin again. How are you?
What's up, DJ? How was your off season, brother?
Hectic, but I'm looking forward to the start of the new season.
Yeah.
If you allow me a minute, I would like to give you my take on the championship format. Would that be okay?
I would love that, brother. You go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, so before I start, the first thing I want to ask you is, do you like steak?
My wife likes it a lot more than me, but I mean, I think I do, you know? I feel like you can't not like steak.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I thought. A lot of people like steak. And the reason I ask you that is because I feel like NASCAR is pulling a fast one on us, and people don't realize it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a very colorful analogy to show you why. You cool with that?
Yes. I love this. I live for this, brother.
All right. So here's the scenario. I'm hosting a party, and I plan on serving one of three entrees to the attendees. It's either going to be frozen chicken nuggets, lukewarm spaghetti, or New York strip. And before my party, I put together a poll to see what people want me to serve. And the results come in, and I find out that 20% of people want frozen chicken nuggets, 20% of people want lukewarm spaghetti, and 60% of people want the New York strip, right?
Yeah.
And under the pressure of my own genius, I decide, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to serve that lukewarm spaghetti to everyone because, I mean, only 25% of people wanted it in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And now I hold my party, and I'm getting complaints because only 25% of the people actually are really happy with their meal. If I had gone with the New York strip, however, at least over half of the people attending the party would have enjoyed it. So the point I'm getting at is, let's take a look at that Jeff Gluck and Mark Martin poll that they ran this last year. Yeah. 20% of the people wanted a playoff of some format, 25% wanted the chase, and 55% roughly wanted that 36-race championship. In other words, the fans told NASCAR that most people want the New York strip. But in reality, what they did was give us lukewarm spaghetti instead of frozen chicken nuggets. And now they want all the accolades for giving us that lukewarm spaghetti, which only 25% of people wanted in the first place. And then Jeff Gluck puts up this new poll asking if people are happy with the new format. But the problem is he's asking the wrong question. The question he should be asking is, if given the choice between the new chase format and a full 36-race championship, which would you prefer? All he's proven is that the 20% of the people that wanted some sort of playoff aren't getting what they're wanting. He still hasn't broken it down. So, of course, anybody that didn't want frozen chicken nuggets is going to be happier with lukewarm spaghetti. And I feel like people are celebrating a half measure. And what the fans really want, now that the playoffs are dead and gone, is not what NASCAR is giving us. It almost feels like NASCAR is pissing down our backs and telling us that it's rain. So that's my rant. What's your take?
No, brother, I completely hear what you're saying. I really do. And I think I kind of, like earlier in the show, I talked a little bit about it, where it's like when you take it and you scope it out across the board of like what were the main things people were worried about, not in terms of just like wanting the totality of the 36 points, which I feel like you and I both would agree would have just been the simplest thing they could have done to make it very transparent, very easy, very similar to everything else. It's like they focused on like, well, what are the key things that people are looking at that want that? And I think that it all tied into just the legitimacy of a champion. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, it's like, well, if we just give people that one piece out of it and we just label it as something else, then we can kind of keep these pieces together for the broadcasting and the networks, because we didn't know this was really going to happen. Because the reality is they decided, they knew that they were going to potentially have to do something, but they let it get really big, and I feel like it was just too loud to ignore at this point, so they had to figure out a way to like compromise it for the networks and what they were expecting and for whatever they had contractually, to also then make the fans happy. And I feel like, for me at least, like just the legitimacy aspect in terms of, do the drivers feel like they are competing for something that's not just a random fucking thing? And do they feel like they actually have a way that they can pour into it now that the fans would in turn feel good about it? I don't know if that's if I'm explaining it the best way I can.
Yeah,
but it's like that one piece was like synthesized out of it, where it's like, okay, well, if it's just legitimacy, and that's what the majority of people are wanting for a 36 full season points format, let's find a way to create legitimacy and still not completely blow up the structure of how we have things set up contractually to run.
Well, and there's no doubt that the chase format is more legitimate than what the playoffs are.
100%.
But my problem is, all you've done is you've said, okay, we won't give you frozen chicken nuggets. We'll give you lukewarm spaghetti instead. And so I don't like the fact that they're championing this as we're listening to the fans, because in reality, you only listen to a quarter of them. Only a quarter of the people are satisfied with this decision. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, like when you look, it's like Jesse was saying too, though. Like when you look at it black and white, like it makes complete fucking sense. But it's like when understanding that there are those weird gray areas is like where it's like, well, you can see like just, I guess, like the points that were being made out of why instead of just doing the thing. Like if we could just make people happy for the reasons instead of the thing, then that's good. And then that's why in their mind they're like, well, we're giving the fans what they wanted, because they were looking at the reasons attached to, instead of just giving the full thing back. I don't know if that makes full sense
true.
or not.
It does. But the last point I want to make is, remember, this format, this chase format is, yes, that's like the height of TV ratings, but it also was the format that started to see the decline of the sport. So again, I feel like it's a half measure. We're going back to something we already proved a decade ago didn't work. Now, they tried to fix it by making it worse, right, for the last decade. But again, I don't think it's going to move the needle as much as what other people think it will. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much for your time. I'll keep on listening.
DJ, thanks so much, bro. Always good to hear from DJ. What an analogy. What an analogy. And you can't wrong him for having that analogy. I mean, like in terms of, I love what Jesse had said about like it's not so black and white. And I think that the more we like chew on all this, the more we realize that is pretty much true. I think Triple the Hops here said fans aren't the only factor. Sponsors and TV are a bigger factor than the fans. It's a step in the right direction. And now it's all depending on how we're going to drive this thing as we continue down the road. Like it's what falls off, what stays and what goes. Now, if we keep making stupid radical changes, 3 years down the road we're not seeing much change and we start doing that, then yeah, you're gonna get yourself into the same mess you were already in. Motorsport Report, you're live.
Hello, Super NASCAR fan Andrew here.
What's
Reporting
up, brother?
live from the Detroit Auto Show.
How was your off season? How was the Detroit Auto Show, dude? Our resident Detroiter calling in. I found out something too, by the way. I'm gonna let you talk, but I got a question for you. I'm glad you called in.
Okay, yeah. I literally just got here and got to my display where I'm promoting the Detroit Grand Prix. We got a 2026 sponsored Detroit Grand Prix Indy car. And then we also got the number 31 Penske Rolex car on our display on the concourse here. And then we have a big display on the inside that'll be working during the show days, which opens to the public on Saturday and goes all week. And so we got 2 displays, and it's going to be a fun time here at the auto show. Yeah.
Love that, brother. The thing I wanted to ask you, since you're up in Detroit, like you're in the area a lot. I recently found out about this mineral that was man-made created called Fordite. And it was a blending of a whole bunch of old car paints and stuff, like from the factories from like the 60s and the 70s. It makes like a crystal. It looks like obviously we all know I fuck with crystals and shit, weird shit. So I saw this material and I hit up one of my boys that I know that lives in Detroit, and I was like, if you can find this laying around, because it's like the most psychedelic looking shit ever, and I'll have to pull it up if anybody in the chat wants to see it. But if you come across any Fordite, I need you to holler at me in the Discord, bro, because I'm looking to get me some like big chunks of it. Because it was like they had one where it was showing like a 1970s Camaro inside of the paint of like a 1960s Mustang. It was so weird. And it's a strange man-made form of like, I don't know. This is my weird shit talking right now. But yeah, be on the lookout for Fordite for you, boy.
Okay.
Yeah,
that sounds interesting. I've never, surprisingly, I haven't heard of that actually until you mentioned it.
I have a lot of weird shit like that. Yeah. But Fordite, that's what it's called.
Yeah, but that's really interesting. And then I know we don't talk much about F1. However, Red Bull and their sister team, I believe the Cash App team, they are previewing their new car tomorrow at 9:30, and it is here in Detroit because Ford is the powertrain of the car.
Yeah.
And they are doing their release at the train station that Ford just renovated, Michigan Central train station here in downtown Detroit. And I believe they are going to put the F1 cars into the auto show, which is going to be really cool to see.
Yeah.
And they are the first.
I was going to say, anything going on in Detroit, like even if it's F1 related, I'm fine. I've been seeing some people online that are there that are like F1 content creators and stuff like that are like around the scene. I just love the fact that Ford is expanding their presence in motorsports. I do think it's going to be big. Wish it was NOS on that car, NOS Energy on that car. That'd be nice. But yeah.
Definitely.
But I will say that, like, that's one of the cities that I still have that. I've been to Michigan, and we've seen each other in Michigan, but like Detroit is one of those cities that I still want to go visit so badly that I haven't got to because of the history that's there. And that's what I love mostly about like what you're talking about today is just like finding a way to expand that importance of Detroit and Ford and what they mean for motorsports and racing, and kind of like finding a way to like let everybody across America like be able to like open their eyes wider to wanting to go there and pushing more tourism there. And I think that the more that motorsports gets expanded, whether it be through F1, NASCAR, IndyCar, it will create more drive for that city. I do like the Tigers too. I'm kind of a Tigers guy. Tariq Skubal, the pitcher for the Tigers, big fan of him.
Skubal is good.
Yeah,
however, I saw the recent disputes of how much he wants for his contract versus how much the Tigers want to give him.
I know my child is really upset about that. So we're all kind of edge of our seat, but I don't know. Maybe if they get more of those guys involved in the motorsport front, that'd be fun. So you're going to be working that. You're going to pretty much be there all week, right?
Well, I pretty much got my days off. I'm not working a Red Wings or Pistons game to be here, so I got scheduled for the media day today, which goes to about 7:00. And then I'll be volunteering on Tuesday and Wednesday next week during the show day, which Tuesday is a very important day for us here at the auto show as it is racing day.
Yeah.
And racing day, we got some of the drivers coming in. Let me go to speaker and look at my list of drivers that we got.
Yeah, and Andrew, by the way, are you going to be posting any of this stuff to like your Twitter, or are you going to be throwing it in the Discord? Where are you going to be putting some of this stuff that you're capturing and finding out there?
Well, I know I'm bad at not posting stuff, but I probably should. I probably should get in on doing that.
No, you live in life, dude. I was just going to say it for everybody watching that wants to kind of see what you're getting into out there. They can make sure to follow you. Yeah. And, of course, if you're in the Garage Guy Discord, you'll be able to see everything. Super NASCAR fan Drew's always holding the house down in there.
Yeah. So the confirmed IndyCar drivers that we got going to be showing up on Tuesday for racing day, which the show starts at 10 a.m. We got Kippen Simpson, Rinus VeeKay, Davis Malukas, and Marcus Armstrong, and we got a couple of confirmed IMSA drivers. We got Jack Aitken and Alexander Sims going to be here, and they'll be doing test drives and autograph sessions and a few different other things. And it's going to be a fun time.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah. And for whoever's calling in, just as soon as we hop off with Andrew, we'll get you on here. So just thanks for calling. Yeah. Just want to let them know that. But, yeah, no, having the IndyCar guys there is going to be huge too. So good to hear Kiff Dog and the boys are going to be there. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more IndyCar news over the next couple of weeks. I know it's always kind of a slow trickle through January and February. So been trying to keep up with everything going on with Schumacher at Ray Hall. That's been a big one. And then we're all still waiting on Dale Coyne. Coyne. It's been Halloween, Thanksgiving. Now here we are, midway through January. Still don't know who's in that show.
Maybe we'll find out by Valentine's Day.
Hopefully, yeah. We'll see. Yeah, Daytona 500. They'll be like, "Hey guys, we made our announcement." No one's gonna care about it. So it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's Dale Coyne though. I give it. Well, I love that you're up there, man. I love that you're getting everything covered. Keep us in the know. You can if you're in the Discord, look for Super NASCAR fan Andrew. He's always got the goods there. And have fun, dude, while you're there. And look for the Ford Ite.
I'm excited. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a fun time here at the Auto Show, as always. And it's going to be fun to hopefully meet people and create new fans, as always, of all motorsport.
There you go,
for
dog.
Sure. I know we didn't talk anything about NASCAR, but I do like the chase format. But Jimmy Johnson should come out of retirement so that he can win 5 more championships again.
Well, he'll be in the 500, and they announced he'll be doing the truck race at San Diego. So
yeah, I know.
It's cool to see these guys coming back in.
It's only for the military that day for the trucks. But,
yep, it's gonna be awesome. Well, Andrew, thanks so much for calling in, brother. We appreciate you.
Yeah, it was good talking with you, Chase. Have a great day.
Take care, brother.
Yeah.
That Super NASCAR fan, Andrew, calling in. He's happy. We did have a call come in. If you want to get that call back in, you can. Other than that, we got a few little pieces of stories we can talk about with IndyCar. Will Power finally getting we get to see Andretti Will Power. I don't know if any of you guys have saw that online. I'm going to go pull up a quick video that came out the other day. There were some definite interesting things on X. By the way, Brad Kay, I don't know if you guys heard, Brad Kay broke his leg, I think, in a skiing accident. He will not be running the Clash. Corey LaJoie will be filling in. Little piece of news there. Motorsport Report, you're live.
Hi from Lake Norman. Jamie here.
What's up, Jamie? Good to hear from you, brother. You had a good little holiday season?
I did. It was a little relaxing.
Hell yeah, man. What's new?
I called in to ask about what do you know about the testing at North Wilkesboro? I know Joey Logano's testing.
Yeah,
and other
that's a great question.
OEM drivers.
I had the list pulled up. I know Bob Pockers had dropped it, and the full list, I'm going to get to it right here, so I had it bookmarked. I wanted to read over it, but I know they're testing the 750 horsepower package at the short track. The test was Chastain, Suarez, Busch, Elliott, Allmendinger, Buescher, Briscoe, Berry, Logano. Looks like
not
Smith,
Logano.
Custer, Jones, Reddick, Stenhouse, and Ware
Are you there?
to have some content from the test when the media allowed in this afternoon. I don't know if you still got me, brother, or not, but that was the drivers. All right, we lost our guy, but those were the drivers that were going to have content from the test when the media allowed it. As far as on the track, I know I saw videos of like Busch, Elliott. I know Stenhouse was there, just from straight talk sources. But this post from Bob Pockers kind of laid that out, and this was yesterday. The cool thing about it is that there were a ton of people, not a ton, but there were a good handful of people that were out at the track just to watch testing, which I thought was always great. Anytime we find out, the public finds out about a test, you show up, get you a little cooler, get you a sandwich, show up at the track, watch some race cars go around. It's the first look our fans could have at the short track package with that 750 horsepower package. So I'm excited. I know we got another test that's going to be coming up too for the O'Reilly series in Rockingham. So little news piece right there for you if you didn't know. Over the next couple of weeks, we should be seeing that transpire. So if you're around the Rockingham area 2 weeks from now, the O'Reilly series will be testing there. So going to be cool. And I'm sure they'll be dropping that news at some point. But that maybe a little bit of breaking news right there because I haven't seen anybody else talk about it. So these are the kind of things that you get in this open conversational forum that we do here on Motorsport Report. Going back over, though, we were looking at – I saw some of the Chili Bowl highlights. We've talked about obviously the Greg Biffle Remembrance is going to be going down. It's going to be at the Bojangles Coliseum in Charlotte. That's going to be, I want to say that is coming up this week, January the 16th. So 2 days from now, that'll be happening. I think they're going to be opening that up for the public. So if you were a big Greg Biffle fan or just a fan of NASCAR in general, you want to go. Definitely go check that out. The Bojangles Center on the 16th is when they're going to do the remembrance for him. That should be a really big event for a lot of people to go and check out. Again, just kind of a tragic offseason a little bit for him with the loss of Greg and Denny losing his dad. And we talked briefly about it. But, it's you never want to hear that kind of news. And that's got to be very hard. And, a lot of people were speculating on, like, what Denny would do or not. We don't know. We don't know. And I think that it's important to give that space and that time because that's a real person dealing with a real thing. I always try to, like, pull myself in, like, what if that was me? What if that was my dad? What if, and I try to look at it from that lens to kind of get a perspective on it. So, we'll definitely see, how things transpire for him, but I haven't heard a ton from Denny. I don't think anybody really has, and we're just kind of all respecting his space at this time, but we got racing coming up soon, so I do expect to see him, running. This will be a big tribute year for his dad as well. I can only imagine that, and yeah, we keep pushing forward, but I think a lot of it's just this has been the most hectic off season in NASCAR I think that we've seen in years. As far as just things happening with drivers, with storylines, with the lawsuit, with the change to the format, this past offseason will go down in history. Let's see if we got our guy Jamie back here. All right, Jamie, we got you?
Yes, sir.
All right, we got him back, Jamie. So, yeah, I was talking a little bit about what you had asked. So I had read a tweet. Bob Pockris had talked about the drivers that were there in Wilkesboro. Did you have any other information on the Wilkesboro test?
No, just that it's just funny that Blaney got a full facial beard and mustache, and Logano went totally bald with a goatee looking. I mean, is this like the dynamic duo, or what are they going with for right there?
They definitely have the most style changes in NASCAR going on right now. I'll say that. I think it's cool, though. I mean, it's kind of a breath of fresh air, you know? Like, obviously, we know Joey, that's not just a media day gimmick. Like, he is fully going bald.
Alopecia.
The speculation, though, with Ryan is he going to keep the mustache, or is he just doing this for media day? Because this is around the time where a lot of the facial hair and the styles and stuff get brought into play when they go to take their year-long pictures, and then it all goes away. So I did text Blaney. I told him I was proud of him. He sent me back a gif of like a little mustache man doing this. So I'm hoping that means he will keep it. I hope that he stays Mustache Gang for the entire season, because let's be honest, I mean, we need stronger figures in the racing world to be in the Mustache Gang. I think that it adds an element of competitive fire into a driver.
Roger Penske was all about clean shaven and the Penske way, but he's mellowed out when it comes to Mr. Blaney. He says, Ryan, do whatever he wants.
That's it. Hey, if it works, it works, brother. That's the thing. But yeah, I was saying, so I know we had the North Wilkesboro test. I don't know about any other Cup tests coming up, but I do know the O'Reilly Series should be at Rockingham in a couple of weeks. So that's something that hasn't officially been announced yet. But I have caught wind that there will be an O'Reilly test for the O'Reilly Series at Rockingham. Have caught wind.
Yeah. What do you think about the big fiasco of Rockingham County?
Yeah, the IHRA, that's a story we haven't got to talk about. I think that's a power play right there, right? I mean, the IHRA came out and said that they were going to, formalize stock car during the middle of the lawsuit. They wanted to say that, we are this entity, and now this is their way to kind of get in the game.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the county commissioner that cut a check for the previous owner that just sold, and then without going through due process and really legal problems about that.
I haven't heard about this, dude. Can you tell us more?
Oh, yeah, cut a big millions of dollars for Rockingham track without legal channels going through, and then they sold the track to IS, International Hot Rod.
I can imagine they're going to have to investigate that. I looked at it totally as the IHRA just trying to get some leverage into the NASCAR space, because usually if they come in,
the previous owners needed the money to put the safer barriers to make sure that NASCAR would race there, and the county cut them a check to pay for it, even though they had plenty of money. They just didn't want to spend their own.
That's kind of the business world goes. I don't know if there's anything illegal that happened, but yeah, all I can say.
Investigating.
Okay, well then, yeah, if the FBI is getting involved, then yeah, that's definitely gonna be something to monitor. Who are some of the stories? Are they posting about this a lot? Who's been posting about this?
WXII in Winston-Salem. I've seen a report.
It's funny, I haven't seen any motorsport reporters talking about it, or maybe they have.
It's something to dig into, because it's not having anything to do with the new owners. It's the previous owners.
Wow.
And the county commissioner.
Well, thank you for bringing this to my attention. I'm looking it up right now. I do see Rockingham County Sheriff Byron Hutchinson told WHSV on Wednesday that his office and West Virginia State Police are working together to identify. Oh, that's a completely different news story. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some research on this,
check
brother.
Into it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to look in, but I appreciate you bringing it up, dude. Thank you so much for calling in, Jamie, and we look forward to hearing from you now that we're back rocking and rolling.
All right, have a great day. Hello.
Take care. All right, that was Jamie from Lake Norman calling in. I have not heard that story yet. So, see, this is why I love having a hotline. I love people being able to call in, tell me things that we haven't went over, tell me things I may have missed. This is how we all stay informed. It's good shit. Was going over IndyCar a little bit. before we had our phone call come in, but I'm definitely going to have to look into that now, and we'll do that. Maybe have some more information on that next Wednesday when we come back live. But some of the other big pieces of news, obviously, a lot of the teams are making their announcements. They're making sponsor announcements right now. So we're just kind of in that, now that I feel like we've gotten the format out the way, now that we've gotten the lawsuit out the way, we're kind of like back to business as usual, right? So this is around that time where we're just going to keep following a lot of updates, news pieces coming out for sponsors. I did see that there's a new company that's going to be sponsoring Chase Briscoe. We'll head over to the browser view real quick. This was a cool-looking paint scheme that I saw. Take a gander at that. JGR has signed a multi-year partnership with Drink Freebird. I don't know much about this Freebird, Southern Spring Water, but I can imagine we will have a shitload of Leonard Skinner Freebird edits coming from JGR this year. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Always love to see a new sponsor coming into NASCAR as well. So going to have to take a look at Freebird Southern Spring Water. Never heard that. Kevin Harvick's KHI management is promoting Josh Jones to president of the company. That's some news that may go overlooked coming in. Jones, Harvick's longtime agent, previously served as vice president of sports marketing entertainment for KHI, which represented several NASCAR drivers and other athletes. It's good for Josh. Carson Ware is going to kick off the year with Barrett Cope Racing for the United Rentals 300. So he's signed with them. Always good to see Carson back in the saddle. He's been doing a lot with Cars Tour, Rick Ware Racing. Big fan of old Carson, like that guy. And then talking about Bob Pockers had put this out yesterday about the Clash format. So I know we have that coming up. So a lot of this other information that I had here were just like little pieces, things you might have missed. And I'll have a lot more formulated going into next week to kind of catch us up on where we are. Definitely going to be looking for the WXII story on Rockingham to see what we got going on for that. But other than that, guys, this has been kind of a fun episode, kind of knocking some rust off of the off season. I do appreciate everybody that called in. Appreciate everybody for sticking around, just kind of hanging out. We're going to get back in the rhythm of things, and keep your calls coming in. Keep tweeting at me at Garage Guy Chase on all social media platforms if you have any news stories. Also in the Discord as well. If you have Discord, just look up Garage Guys Discord, Garage Guy Chase, whichever one works for you. You'll just see a picture of my headshot, and then that's when you'll know. Hop in, join the crew. I have links posted up all the time, and there's a lot of people that have it. Ryan Booth in the chat says, sorry we missed the show. No worries, brother. You know me. I just spring these son of a bitches up at different random times during the week. But Wednesdays moving forward, we're going to be back to our regular time, 12 to 2 usually. We did 12:30 today is when we started. But I will have some announcements coming out for myself over the next couple weeks. Just been trying to get everything tied in together. So hope everybody enjoyed today's show. Hope everybody's enjoying the racing that is happening with Chili Bowl. I think Formula E came back. They raced in Mexico City, the Diet Sprite of racing. I don't know if anybody ever drank Diet Sprite before. It's not great, but it's something. We're getting closer and closer. The good news is now that we know the Chase format's here. We know what we have. We know what we have to look forward to. Everybody seems pretty excited and happy about it. So let's keep pushing. We'll have some more IndyCar, NASCAR news coming next Wednesday on Motorsport Report. Much love. Don't forget to go to your local gas station, your local store, pick up some NOS Energy. Tell them Chase sent you. Can't thank them enough for being the awesome sponsor that they are of what we're doing here at Motorsport Report and everything else I have going on social media. So every time you buy a NOS Energy, it's helping to give thanks for them for supporting me and what I do. Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. See you next Wednesday.